Welcome to Designer Discussions with Jason, Miriam, and Maria. Today, we're talking about organizing your interior design media assets.
Welcome to the Designer Discussions podcast. Tune in each week where we discuss marketing, branding, PR, and business advice for design professionals.
Are you wondering where to start marketing your interior design business? We are opening the Designer Discussions Marketing Studio, a monthly series of in-depth, actionable content to guide your marketing, PR, and business development. We want to help you transform your business and elevate it to work with your dream clients.
Yes, and this is a very exciting topic, not because I don't know that there are a lot of people who really, there may be people who really enjoy organizing their stuff. I'm not necessarily one of them, but it is a very critical aspect of your business because it's important that you know where to find things when you need them. And what we're specifically talking about today is what we call your interior design media assets. And I'll speak to it mostly from a point of view of how you're going to need it and use it when you do PR, when you work with the press. But first, let's talk about what do we mean when we say your media assets? Basically, then the most important one is photography, right? Photography is absolutely critical, but it's also videos and photos and videos, of yourself, of your team, of your project, of pretty much anything. But it's also including product lists of products that you spec in your projects. It can be you may have a blog or, a collection of ideas and trend topics that you house somewhere, and your bio is part of that too. So it's really a well-rounded package of everything that you're going to need, especially when you work with the press. And I already said it's really important to have this because it'll save you so much time and it'll make you so much quicker to react when you need it. So you definitely need it for media relations, for working with the press. You're also going to be able to use it for social media, because how much easier to know where you find the image of this certain project you did if you have it readily available. The website always also needs updating, as Jason keeps telling us. So it's nice to be able to pull those resources in. And honestly, all other marketing activities, whether you have an email newsletter, a brochure, in your showroom, whatever it may be, it'll always come in handy. On the public relations side, specifically, it is super important that you can react quickly to whatever opportunity is out there, because the media are very often, almost all the time, on short deadlines. And when they ask you for something, it's going to usually be yesterday would be best, but today works, maybe tomorrow, but in a couple to a few days maximum. And if you don't have your assets organized, you're going to be scrambling like crazy, downloading photos and combining things and finding your product lists, and it's going to be a massive, massive headache. And we don't want that. So we want you to be proactive about this and get your, it's almost like an archive. I would say it's like you archive your assets in a way so you can easily find them. The one thing we've talked about here a lot on the podcast, and that I often talk about in general, is for the HARO opportunities, to help a reporter out opportunities. They're always super short notice, and sometimes there's very specific requests. Oh, you know what? Blue kitchens, who has a recent blue kitchen project to share? And if you have that well organized in your files, you'll easily be able to get it and all the information you need with it. Now we know that it is important, right? But how do we do this? What is the best way to go about this? And I will caveat it by saying that, everybody is different. people may have different preferences of what systems they use, and we can talk through some of these. I'm sure Maria will have an opinion too. But the basic storage platforms that you're going to use that I would recommend are Dropbox and Google Drive. Definitely choose something that's cloud-based. Don't put it all on your computer. Because some people, like me, for instance, sometimes pour coffee all over their laptops and completely fry it. I just did this like 3 weeks ago. And your computer dies completely. So you don't want to have all your assets stored on your computer. And thankfully, I had taken my own advice before that. And really all my files were either in a Dropbox or a Google Drive. So that made it a lot less anxiety provoking. It still sucked, but okay. So you're gonna put all these assets in the cloud somewhere. And when you think about organizing it, there's a plethora of different options, but I think it's really important that you do have some system that easily lets you find each project that you have been working on. And what's helpful also is to organize the projects, I would say by scope, which I mean, like, was it just a kitchen? Was it just a bathroom? Was it a whole house? Was it a remodel? So you figure out, and depending on who you work with, who your clients are, but figure out a way so you can easily track down, maybe, let's say, all your kitchen projects, all your whole home projects, all your living room projects, all your, laundry room projects, whatever it may be. Location can be another one, depending on how many locations you serve with your business. Maybe some of you, it's very regional, then it's not as important. But if you do a lot of national or maybe even international work, it's definitely helpful to easily have it accessible if somebody's asking for, an overseas project, for instance. Another one that can get a little trickier, but I think it's helpful to have an idea of if you serve a lot of clients and you offer, you cater to their styles, and like maybe you have a contemporary, traditional, transitional, whatever kind of design you offer folders. And this is especially important for photography, right? I think when it comes to other assets that you want to have by project, and I'll get a little bit into more detail about it when I get to my next bullet point, but there might be other ways to store that. But when it comes to photography, I think having an idea of stylistically what they represent is super, super helpful when it comes to working with the media, because they can be very particular in what they like. It's also important to know when the projects were done. Ideally have somewhat of a chronological system, because most often projects that are 2-3+ years old are not as relevant as your newer ones. And then, like I had talked about before, like if you have a blog or if you do a lot of media requests, if you pitch a lot of HARO queries, maybe you have sort of a library with trend topics. Maybe there's a color trends, and maybe there's decorating trends and whatever holiday trends or back to school. If you have messaging that you can easily use, and actually Maria really has helped me develop this idea, and it makes so much sense because the topics, they reappear year to year to year to year, so you don't have to recreate the wheel from scratch, but you can take what you have and you just update it with the most recent information. So wherever you want to store that, whatever, it does not have to be in a Dropbox. It can be, it could be in Evernote or whatever, notes on your Mac if you have a Mac. It could be wherever, but I think it's just helpful to keep as a record of especially if you've poured like a lot of energy and creativity into crafting the copy, then keep it so you can reuse it at a later point in time. So the most important information always is circling, usually around projects. So what you need the photography. If you've shot any video, you want to have that in there too, so you always know where it is, right? So what else what other kinds of information do you need for a project? Let's say if it were to be featured in a magazine. Like I said, the journalist is always going to want to know, it's like, where is it? How big is it? Like, what's the square footage? What was the scope of the project? Was it new construction, remodel, complete remodel, or structural, whatever it is, whatever the scope of it was? Who are the homeowners? Did they give you permission to include them when you talk about the project, or did they not? Or just generally, they always want to know who lives there. Is it a family? Is it a couple? Is it whoever it is? Know who they are and whether or not they'd be willing to work on you on marketing efforts. What is the design inspiration? What did you develop? How did you solve the problems that presented themselves? And I'm sure a lot of you probably have very good memory and can remember this, but if you work on a lot of different projects, it's helpful to just jot it down. So it's already there for you and you don't have to spend 30 minutes like wrecking your brains to remember what exactly you were thinking at the time when you were working on it. And like I said, you do want a resource list of all the products that you have used in the space. And then, of course, the visual assets, like we had said, photos, videos, number one. But all these other things are also very, very helpful. So those are the things I would recommend that you organize in whatever way is most suitable for your personality and the systems that you already use. It really doesn't matter. There's no magic bullet. The most important thing is that you have a system that works for you, so you can find things quickly when you need them.
I would even say that the name of a photograph should say like the project name, and it might say like green, and it might say like bathroom. And then that way, when you're wanting to do a quick search through your images, if it's like an assistant that's helping you, they can just search for remodels. They can search for kitchens. They can search for a color like green or white. And then that way they could also find,
great idea,
scroll through your assets a little bit faster and have access to the images that they'd be specifically looking for to respond to a media request. Most of the media requests that are going to come through are not going to be like, pitch me a whole entire house. The media request is going to come through and it's going to ask, have you done any nice showers lately? What is the best mirrors and bathrooms? What are some of the light fixtures that designers are using right now? So you can imagine how quickly and easily it would be to find those images in Dropbox if you have your words in the title of the image.
Great idea. I would add to that if or before you share these images with the media, add your own name to the beginning of the photo, whatever the file is named, because what's going to happen is that the journalist is probably going to download your photo, and then maybe they'll have 10 photos, and if your name is not in the image file name, they're not going to remember which is which. And if you make it easy for them, they're going to like you more than any of the other people and may want to work with you again. So that's it's a little tip that's very helpful. These are tips for organizing your interior design media assets. We hope they're helpful. Please come back for more tips and join us again next week at Designers Discussion.
Are you wondering where to start marketing your interior design business? We are opening the Designer Discussions Marketing Studio, a monthly series of in-depth, actionable content to guide your marketing, PR, and business development. We want to help you transform your business and elevate it to work with your dream clients.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Designer Discussions. What was your takeaway? Care to share your thoughts and tag Jason, Maria, and Miriam on social media? You can find them on all platforms at designerdiscussions.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review or comment for this episode from wherever you are listening.